Hello, YouTube. How's it going? This news just came out about 33 minutes ago from when we are recording this. News on the Japanese-style Thanksgiving Day marathon event, coming up here in 4 days. Let's just get into it, shall we? So, free event you are. First one is going to be Chika. Water Blue New World Chika. Active attribute SP type. Statted kinda weirdly. 60-32 base appeal, 34-47 base stamina, 77-56 base technique. So, very heavy crit profile. This is going to be a decently high crit rate for an SR. Luckily, her tap active, even though it's not great, still ties back to her best stat. Her tap active being in an SP gauge bomb. Voltage gain from the next SP skill increases by 22% based off of her own technique. To kind of double that, she also has a self base technique buff. Maximum of 7% at max limit break. So at limit break 0, this number is 6. Then a pretty interesting yet still not great LSA. Restores stamina equal to 6% of her technique with a 50% activation rate every time you use your SP gauge. Now, does this card come close to Noble Princess Rico? No, it doesn't. Noble Princess Rico has the exact same conditions on her LSA, just that because she's a UR, she provides more of a heal. So, and with Rico having probably a lot more cards than Chika, that just see a lot more general use. Her first UR, her second Fest UR, her first Fest UR, her Moon Rabbit card, that gives the 2% appeal buff to all cool cards at the beginning of a live, with the same attribute appeal buffing passive. You got the recent Monster Halloween event card. Like, there's a lot of cards that Rico just does a lot better than Chika. But, I mean, the card itself is not terrible. You know, like most, it's just costume filler. Just like this Mogyutto Honoka. Smile attribute SK type. Max 60-32 base appeal, 49-98 base stamina, 62-04 base technique. So another crit profile, but will crit a lot less than Chika just because of the spread between appeal and technique is much lower. Honoka provides a crit rate up by 10% only for the next 3 notes. And it only affects same attribute cards. So you need to, even if you're using it in something like Dreamlight Parade, you have to use it with cards of the same attribute, which is not great. She also gives a technique buff. Same attribute cards, 3.2%. Then she gives same attribute cards a 4% appeal increase for the next 4 notes, and that's guaranteed every appeal chance. This SR, even by SR standards, is very weak. Then we get to the free UR, which is Ruby, her third one. So Ruby, cool attribute voltage type. 12,620 base appeal, 5610 base stamina, 9816 base technique. Perfectly fine, like, as far as stats go. You know, it's not a top-end card, but for a free event you are, you know, with these kind of stats, we can't really complain about. They're perfectly fine. Stamina is significantly lower than both appeal and technique. Which is what you want. She'll probably be an okay center 3 card. She's not the best, but she won't hurt you. Tap active is okay. Increases voltage gain by 5% for the next 5 notes. Affects same strategy cards. Voltage gains again. At a certain point, cards with this tap active lose out to cards with the voltage boost tap active, right? Because cards with the voltage boost tap active can at least tap above 61,000 if you're using the correct accessories. Cards with either voltage gain or appeal up tap actives don't really work as well for advanced beat map songs. Now, these types of cards, the appeal ups and the voltage gain tap active cards, tend to work a lot better in advanced plus and challenge difficulty songs, but because her stats are slightly lower than something comparable in like a Veggie Wonderland Yohane, this would still be like a third or fourth scoring option if you're direly needing to run a cool attribute voltage type. Then her passive, not great. It's the same attribute appeal buffing passive, which does give her some flexibility as a backliner. But again, normal gacha URs that have a same attribute appeal buff have a 5.2 max buff versus event cards, which for the most part have a 4.2% buff. So this card would still be worse than a Steam Maiden Maru, than a Veggie Wonderland Yohane, than even a Moonrabbit Rico. There are a ton of cool attribute cards that have same attribute passives that would be better than this card, especially as a backliner. Then her LSA. Upon the start of every appeal chance, this Ruby card gets a 10% voltage gain for the entirety of the appeal chance, but it only affects herself. Again, we're getting a lot of these cards that only have self LSAs, which not good. Ideally, you want cards that have either same strategy or same attribute buffing LSAs, because then at least the LSA can spread out over all 3 of your cards in your formation. This one, because it's only affecting herself, and coupled with the fact that the card stats are slightly above average, I'd say, it's just. But, I mean, the thing is, expect the event to be, I guess, pretty contested. Ruby is very, very popular. So expect the event to be contested. If not for that, because of the gacha banner. So on the gacha banner, we have LLO Rina, a natural attribute SP type. Her stat line is kind of like the Honoka card, where the appeal and stamina are a little bit closer. 6697 base appeal, 6089 base stamina, 7508 base technique. So she does get the crit profile, an additional 15% crit rate. Tap active is terrible. Increased skill activation by 4% for the next 5 notes, affects same strategy cards. So the only other kind of famous SP type card that has this tap active is the Initial Rin card, which funnily enough is in the same attribute and typing, right? It's a natural attribute SP type card that has a skill activation rate up. It already makes the card not great. The passive is fine for an SR. Same strategy, appeal buff, maximum of 5%. I mean, you'll take that, especially on your SRs. The LSA is a little weird, though. Increase the voltage of your next SP skill by 2.6% of your own appeal. And this happens every appeal chance start. So when we look at this kit, it is all over the place. Skill activation, appeal up, and a SP gauge voltage gain. Like this is definitely a card of, oh god, we don't know what the hell we're gonna put on this Rina, and they were just throwing darts at a dartboard to try and figure out how they're gonna make this card. Okay, let's throw the first dart. Skill activation. Okay, give her that. That's her tap active. Passives. Okay, let's give her appeal plus. Do we want to do it same attribute? No, same strategy. What about her LSA? I know. Let's give her an SP Gauge Bomb LSA. That's guaranteed to happen at the start of every appeal chance. Well, what are we going to base it off of? Are we going to base it off of her best stat? Her technique? No, we're going to base it off of her appeal, which is worse. Ugh. The card is... Yikes. The card is a lot of yikes. Costume fodder for the Rina Oshis, but nothing more. Alright, then we have another voltage type card in the active attribute. Hooray! Like we need another one of these. Active attribute voltage Nozo. The stats, I will say, are very good. 14,252 base appeal, 8286 base stamina, which is a little bit on the higher side, 10,608 base technique. This stat line is very good. Very good. Now, is it like top of the line good? Nah, not really. But it, you know, if you were to put it in a tier list, like stat line wise, this is like at the bottom of like A tier. Just because, you know, the stamina portion, you know, could be a little bit less. You could, you know, if we got a little bit more of the stamina points at the technique, it would be a lot better. But this is still a very, you know, in an attribute, in the active attribute that has a lot of voltage types and scores and stuff like that, this is still a very, very good stat line. Tap active, not great. It's a voltage gain tap active. So, put this card kind of in line with like a Bluum or Umi. Increase voltage gain by 7.2% for the next 5 notes. Affects same attribute cards. So already you're having to... If you want to maximize this card, you have to put it with 2 other active attribute cards. Here again, same attribute, appeal buffing passive, 5.2%. Does give it some flexibility, but how much of it? This is, you know, definitely one of those like kind of last of cards that you're throwing in there if you need appeal boosters in your backline. Her LSA is weird. A 30% chance on strategy switch to increase appeal of same attribute cards by 7.2% for the next 5 notes. Now, typically, you're never gonna want to switch too much, you know, between strategies, especially during a regular live if you can help it. Which basically makes the LSA almost obsolete. Like, it just doesn't do anything. So you do have to worry about that. I mean, the Nozo card is cute. She's holding a bunch of apples. Rina is just shocked over here. You know, and she does have a good stat line. She does have a decent passive. But with it being an event gacha card, like, unless you're a Nozo Oshi, if you're still looking for an active attribute score, I would definitely wait and look to pull for, first Fest Kanon, first Fest Setsuna, second Fest Karin, second Fest Rico, Party Kotori. Like, to me, all 5 of those cards are better than this Nozo, and they'll help you longer term. So this is like an 8.5 out of 10 card, just simply because of the stats. Then we get to this card. Autumn Thanksgiving Mia. Cool attribute SK type. So, a lot of people were thinking Mia's first UR would kind of come the way of Shioriko, and, Mia and Lanzu would get their first URs in the Fest banner. Incorrect. Mia gets her first UR as a gacha, which Shioriko doesn't even have a gacha UR yet. She only has 2 Fest cards, a party card, and an event card. Anyway, Mia's stat line is fan-freaking-tastic. 13,922 base appeal. 4,970 base stamina. 14,252 base technique. This is very important because this means that this Mia card gets the crit profile, right? This Mia card gets the crit profile. So, if you were to look on Kirara, this particular card at max limit break, max tiled, max limit break, 57.75% crit rate, which is fantastic. Then, you couple that with her tap active, which increases crit percentage by 30% for the next 3 notes, affecting cards of the same strategy. Speaking of same strategy, she has the same strategy passive to buff same strategy members' appeal by 7% at max limit break. Then you get this. This LSA is insane. This LSA is actually bonkers. Increase base appeal by 7.5% until the live show ends. Once upon appeal chance success, 50% chance to activate, affects same strategy cards. Now, when we think about this, right? Let's say we're playing a cool attribute song, right? We're playing a cool attribute song. Mia gives the 7% base appeal increase to her same strategy cards. On the first appeal chance, her live show active goes off, giving a 7.5% appeal boost to same strategy cards. Then, finally, we add in her 3 insights. Her 3 insights would give her, right? If you put medium same strategies insights on this card, that's another 6%. This Mia can buff the appeal of same strategy cards by 20.5%. Now, for comparison purposes, I do have to note this. First Fest Kanon, Second Fest Yo, and Second Fest Kotori. All 3 of those cards have the same kit, right? The appeal part of the kit. They have this same strategy insight, right? And they guarantee a 2.5% base appeal increase at the start of the live. Okay? And they all have 4 insights. When you add all of that together, 7% appeal increase from their passives, 8% total appeal increase from their passives, and the 2.5% guaranteed appeal buff at the start of the live, that is a maximum of 17.5%. This Mia has a higher upside than all three of those cards. Now, this card is basically on par with First Fest Mari as far as the top line appeal boosting that you can give out. Now, right, remember Mari is a 5% appeal buff LSA at the beginning of the live with an only 30% chance to activate. Her top line appeal boosting is a total of 20%. This Mia is a 20.5%. And unlike Mari, like what with Mari, right? As soon as the live starts, if you don't get the LSA to go off, you're screwed, right? You just miss out on it. This Mia, at least, if your first appeal chance comes early and her live show active doesn't go off, you at least have some more chances later on in the song. And again, the stat line for this card is, for a gacha card, is very, very surprising. This card, I think, you know, this is definitely going to be scouted for by people who enjoy Mia. I'm pretty sure Shudit's going to scout for this card. I'm almost certain Shudit's going to scout for this card. The kit on this card, the weakest part of it is the tap active, right? Because a lot of times you may not necessarily need extra crit percentage. You may want extra appeal or whatever. But this is good for songs, say for instance, if you have a crit AC. This card can definitely help you. It's a significant crit percentage increase of 30%. So it'll definitely take you pretty close to the maximum of how often your cards can crit. You know, if Mia's tap active is going off. You know, and it is a standard tap activation rate too, so you do have to keep that in mind as well. I love this card. You know, not only is this card going to be really good for guest usage with the same strategy, passive, and this live show active, this stat line makes her a fantastic card for Center 3. Any cool attribute songs that you're having trouble with that require very, very large SP gauges in either Advanced Plus or Challenge or, you know, whatever difficulty, this card can significantly help you. Significantly help you. Is it the best Center 3 card in the attribute? I mean, strictly on power-wise, I would think so. I do have to go back and take a look at the Wedding Dress Rico, because Wedding Dress Nico, I mean. Because Wedding Dress Nico had an absurd technique value. So, based on the calculations, it may or may not give out more. But yeah, Jesus. This freaking card, it's not a 10 out of 10 card, because it is an SK type. The tap active is a little so-so. But those are the only two knocks on the card. The stat line is great, the passive is great, the LSA is definitely above average. So if you're having trouble with cool attribute songs, like a Music Start, like a Sweet Eyes, like a Kokoro Magic A to Z, the expert or advanced plus difficulty, whatever you want to call it, this card can definitely help you. Would I scout for it though? I mean, if you're desperate, you can. I would honestly just wait until it gets into the gacha pool to hope to scout for it though. But yeah, I mean, final grade on this card. This is a 9 out of 10 card. I can't give it a 10 out of 10. I do have to knock it, the full point for number 1 being an SK type and number 2 the tap active. But this is still a very, very good card to grab. And, just this card alone being in the gacha pool may make this event more contested than I think the Ruby Oshis want it to be. With that, that's going to be it for us and this instant analysis on the Autumn Thanksgiving event. Hope to see you soon. Come join us on Twitch, YouTube, twitch.tv/IamTheShaz. Schedule right now is 5 days a week. We're going to have to cancel a couple of Mondays coming up here due to work commitments. But, we have our schedule. It'll be down below in the description as well as on the offline page if you need to see it there. Until then, we'll see you later. Bye, YouTube.